Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 117. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, and we definitely don't have Nets basketball to talk about from a game standpoint. Knicks, they were in the lottery, and they stay put at number 11. They had a 2% chance basically to win the lottery. They don't go anywhere. They're at number 11, and we'll talk a little Knicks basketball, what the future for them holds this offseason a little bit with Julius Randle and such, and then the Nets being dickheads and ruining my summer. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and that was the dickhead thing came out of left field. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey, well, I'm annoyed because I got to see the Celtics play the Heat right now and basically be like, this is annoying. We'll talk about the Nets and fans and who they want. This is such a depressing topic, but it is the topic. Net fans, who do you want to see lose more? There we go. Sucks, but it is.
Quick, what's your pick? What's your finals pick? Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with the Warriors versus the Celtics because the Celtics are on a mission. Although they're playing right now, it's basically even in the third quarter. Celtics without Al Horford and Marcus Smart. But I do love, Alex, and I'll ask you yours, that a quarter of the Knicks are on the Mavs this year. From last season, that is.
Yeah. And then further in the past with Hardaway and what's his name? Trey Burke are still there too.
Well, Bullock, Theo,
Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., Trey Burke,
amazing. What's Dinwiddie, a former Net,
Jason Kidd, the coach, former Knick and Net.
a lot of weird connections there. I mean, Dinwiddie he was phenomenal in that game, which was wild. But Alex, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, Knicks stand pat like Ewing at number 11 and stay put, I guess, stand pat, same thing. And I wasn't expecting them to move up or down. I honestly just expected them to stay still. This wasn't one of those draft lotteries where I was, biting my nails and dying for the number one pick. It's just, they're the 11th best odds. This draft kind of blows and it just is what it is.
It's,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's so funny. Some people are like, I think they're going to move up. I think they go down. They had a 2%. This has nothing to do.
Right.
Some people are like, oh, typical Knicks. I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything about the team.
Nothing.
Let's put 100 pieces of paper into a pile. The Knicks have 2 of them. I'll take my odds on the other 98. That's just reality. It's nothing to do with the Knicks. Just common fucking sense. What is wrong with people going, I think they move up. Why? Like, why? Why would you think that?
It was just blind, like, fan hope, maybe people trying to wish it into existence. But even if they got a top 4 pick, how is that changing the franchise? This isn't like 2019. This isn't like the LeBron year. This isn't like a Derrick Rose draft. This isn't even like a Dwight Howard draft. This is just, all right, you got Chet, you got Ivy, who lost to St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament. You're really that excited about a guy that lost to some guys from Jersey? I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, it is, we said we belittled like Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz, not making the tourney coming out of college, and look at them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, at least Ivy got there. It is what it is, and I'm not diminishing him. He might be a great player, but it's just whatever, man.
Well, you don't know. I mean, look at the Cavs and Raptors, for example, with Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes. Now they have foundational players. Right. Now, we don't know how good they're going to be. I think they had great rookie seasons. They're babies. And I picked those 2 guys because those teams had the most success with these younger teams. But point is, if you're the Cavs, you're feeling good. If you're the Raptors, you're feeling good about what you have. And I think if you're a Knicks fan, I don't think you're expecting to get the next Dwight Howard in his prime, or you're expecting to get LeBron. But the idea is if you move up into one of those spaces, maybe you get somebody of an impact that can then add to the young core of Barrett, Toppin, Quickly, etc. Now, you could still do that with 11, and they could be better than the 3rd or 4th pick. There's no guarantees. Nobody knows the answers. And if somebody tells you they do, they're lying. It's just about like I mean, Emmanuel Quickly was one of the right now has a higher trajectory, in my opinion, than Obi Toppin, and Quickly was drafted 20 picks later. You just don't know.
It's true. It's true. Look at you go back, throwback Knicks back in the day. You have Channing Frye taking it like 7 or 8 overall, right? At something like that.
Yeah, I think he was 7, somewhere in there.
And he was taking a few picks for Andrew Bynum. That's the guy they passed on, whatever. The next year, the Knicks draft, or was it the same year when they drafted David Lee, like in the late 20s? My years are all washed together there. You're the draft guy, and either way, David Lee becomes a 2-time All-Star, wins the championship with the Warriors, and Channing Frye just becomes a 3-point shooter. That's not a top 10 pick in the draft, in my opinion. And no Knicks fan was actually angry tonight. No Knicks fan was like,
I would hope not,
screaming like, God damn it. Like nobody did that tonight. In 2019, we all did that in unison. We go like pounded the table like shit. Like we had them. We were so close. We were right there. Ewing was on the dais. Like, this year, nobody did it. If any Knicks fan is on Twitter, quote unquote content creators, which I hate, was saying, putting out memes that they're so upset and hands in their, face in their hands. And it's just, give me a fucking break. Stop trying to shamelessly self-promote yourself. Nobody's buying your shit, your clickbait crap. And then you got guys like, Tommy Beer, who I kill on this a lot. He blocked me a while ago, but somebody sent me the screenshot. Incredibly, almost impossibly, the Knicks have lost more games than any team in the NBA this century, but they have never had a number 1 overall pick or the number 2 overall pick. They've had a top 3 pick just once. Okay, the Knicks had a 2% chance to get the fucking top pick this year. Yeah. Why is that stat relevant this year? The Knicks have also rarely had their pick when they were in the lottery because of Jamal Crawford, Eddie Curry, whatever the trades were with Isaiah. He just traded all the picks away. Then the Melo trade wiped away a lot of picks too. So how many times have they actually been in the lottery with a great position to actually get the number 1 pick? I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I can tell you it wasn't more than 3 to 5 times. Okay. And obviously the Knicks will never move up in the lottery, and that's known in history, and that sucks. But it's not like talking about how many losses they've had over the last 22 years is relevant tonight. The only times the Knicks really actually tanked, like physically actually tanked, went all in, was the years for Towns and the year for Zion. That's it. Every other time they actually just sucked, or they were just mediocre, or they didn't have their draft pick.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I crazy here?
No, of course you're not. I don't know why it would be so exciting.
And this guy's a Knicks fan.
Like the Orlando, oh, congratulations, the Orlando Magic, you won the lottery again. You know what that means? You suck. You're always bad. Now, granted, the one year with Penny was incredible. When they won the lottery with the least amount of odds, was unbelievable that they were able to do that. But you look at
they won it with Chris Webber, actually.
Well, they won it with Webber. Yes, he was dealt for Penny. You know what I'm saying? Excuse, you really gonna fucking do that? Oh my god! And I thought in my head, should I say that? I'm like, the audience doesn't know. It's not. It's now you got me all discombobulated.
You're the draft guy. I caught you. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not. I like my history. It's a strange stat. I know Adam Schefter on Twitter took a shot too, and it's like, but what was funny
5:50 in the morning.
What was funny about his tweet to me was it looks like he goes, maybe I should just read it, but it's like the Knicks haven't won in the 17 times they've done it. Looks like it'll be number 18 tonight. Like they're gonna fail tonight, and that's on them,
right?
Because they were better than the bad teams. What? Like, oh yeah, congratulations to the Thunder, Cleveland, and Orlando. You have a chance tonight. You did this right, as opposed to the Knicks, because they had not a good regular season, but not putrid. And it's just such.
And you're gonna shit on the Knicks for that?
It's backwards logic. Like, oh, they're gonna lose it again.
You know what it is, Mike?
Because they were better than those teams. If they win, the whole point of this lottery is to take care of the teams that suck and were really bad, so they could even out the league. The Knicks don't need that as much as those other teams like Orlando and Oklahoma City, because they're better. That's the whole point. Yeah. That's why the teams that are in the playoffs don't get the lottery, because they're already there. They made it.
And you know what we call that?
What?
Saying Knicks for clicks. That's what we call that right there. Classic.
I won't say that. I refuse.
You won't say it. Like, I won't say culture, but that's just the classic deal.
No,
it wasn't. And this is what Adam Schefter tweeted. Everybody knows him. Big football guy. He actually is a Knicks fan from New York, but still, like, dude. So anyway, before I react to it, let me read it. NBA draft lottery is at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Since landing Patrick Ewing, The Knicks now have gone to 17 straight lotteries without improving their draft position. 7 times they fell back, and 10 times they wound up where they were projected. Tonight expected to make it 18 straight. Okay.
Well, the thing is, it's not.
What I mean? Like, what are we doing?
That's not like bad coaching or the players didn't show up. It's all luck.
Luck.
It's all luck. You can't.
Some of it was bad by trading all your picks. I mean, but none of the Knicks picks that they traded ever won the lottery either. You know what I mean?
But he's like, oh, Knicks, their picks, they've never moved up. They've only moved back. Like that was something the organization did wrong. It's balls coming out of a container and then some schmuck putting his hand in that works for some bank that makes a lot of money going 7264. Let's see what that code is. The Sacramento Kings have the 13. Like, what are we saying? This is all luck.
It's all James Dolan's fault, Mike. Obviously, it's just all James Dolan's
fault.
I
believe.
I'm just kidding.
That I can buy.
It's just ridiculous. It's this classic stuff, and like Knicks fans on Twitter that have a big following, and they're doing this crap too. It's just ridiculous between Schefter and Tommy Beer and a couple others. People know who they are, men and women doing it. It's just, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Isn't this your team? Like, isn't the Knicks your team? Like, I get it. Like, one of those, like, of course the Knicks lost. I said something like that. Of course they lost a lottery. I tweeted out something like that's just like a normal reaction to them not winning. Of course, were you expecting them to win? Not going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It didn't happen. Like, dude.
Yeah.
I'm speechless there, man. It's just
strange.
It's crazy. So anyway,
the 1 year I was upset that the net year when they had the number one, they were terrible and they did not get the number one pick. It ended up being John Wall was number one. They ended up getting Derek Favors, who was then part of the Darren Williams trade. But that was disappointing for the Nets because they were so bad.
Yeah.
And they had the lucky year where they were the 7th and they moved up to 1 and they drafted Kmart. That was their one. Not that Kmart he was great. I love him. He's my favorite
franchise cornerstone.
He's my favorite net of all time, but he wasn't.
Well, I think the injury in college as a senior hurt him, or whatever his last year in college. I don't know if he's a senior. I made that up, but he was. And didn't he break his leg or something in college?
I think he broke it his junior year. I have the itchiest nose. It's driving me nuts. I think it was his junior year. That if you're watching this YouTube video, I'm not picking my nose. I got the itchiest fucking nose in the world.
Yes.
I think it was his junior season. That he broke it, I believe. I want to say. Sorry if I'm getting this.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it didn't slow him down because honestly, he was jumping off a trampoline in games, so it wasn't like it really. But it felt that way a little bit. I remember Cincinnati going to the tournament as the number 1 seed, and Kenyon wasn't there. It was just like the worst number 1 seed ever because he wasn't on the team. Right. So, and they still won the first game, which is crazy. So but anyway, so Mike, what I would do this year with the 11th pick, I was tweeting it out. I would trade it. Trade the damn pick. Trade the pick plus Julius Randle. Get somebody, a star in here. Get a legitimate player. Get a couple legitimate players in here that fit with this Knicks team. Obviously, I'd still bring back Mitchell Robinson, but depending on the trade, let's see what happens. I can't go into the season with another mid-lottery pick that might be good in 3 to 4 years. We have RJ Barrett right now. We have Emmanuel Quickly. We have Obi Toppin, guys who are ready to pop, you would hope, right? And Mitchell Robinson, who might just be a great defensive center, right? What are we doing throwing another 18, 19-year-old kid into the mix here that's not a top pick in a weak draft? What are we doing here? Go get guys. Like, here are my guys, the top 3 guys that I would get. And they're the only options. And everybody's going to say, yeah, of course, these are the guys to get, et cetera, et cetera. I would go after number 1. This is in order from least likely to most likely, right? Number 1, I would go after Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard is number 1. I would trade Derrick Rose, Julius Randle, Quentin Grimes, and a couple picks this year and maybe next year's pick with a swap or the Dallas pick.
I don't think it's enough.
Okay. Yeah, I know. He's like he is Mr. Blazer. So I don't know if that would happen.
He was up there for the lottery.
Yeah, but it's true. And that's a good point. So that's not going to happen. But that was my least likely. But it's just one of those guys that are always talked about. The next one is Donovan Mitchell. So available, obviously, Jazz might blow it up this year because they might. I don't know if it's clear, but they might have topped out
at the Mets game tonight.
What?
He was at the Mets game tonight.
Yeah, he was at the Rangers game the other night too. So we had Julius Randle, Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, and a couple picks in the future would work out straight up for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if that's enough either, but give or take, I'm just trying not to trade Emmanuel Quickly, but I'm aware that might have to happen if you're going to go get him.
I think you have to. I mean, you don't. I know you're not going to include RJ Barrett in any of these trades.
No, he's untradeable.
Then with that in mind, you're going to have to give up something.
Obi and quickly.
You're going to have to do it.
I was just doing it with the salaries matching, but it's tough. But Simmons pretty much everybody's on the table. What?
Simmons
Mitch for Mitchell?
No, it's Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons, yeah, okay. And then the last one, the one that I think is the most likely is Zion. Zion, I think, with his value low, he's got a big extension on deck. You can do a sign and trade. You give up Julius Randle, Obi Toppin, and picks, and let's go. It would be crazy if that Obi and Zion on the wings, like those guys flying down the lane, but you don't really need two guys like that. So I would give up more, obviously, but I'm just saying as a basis, don't take me like 100% seriously here, as far as what a compensation. I'm not breaking down the salary cap. I'm just went on those trade machine sites and just picking up players like that. But I would do it for a lot more, and I understand it probably is a lot more, but I would do it. I think Zion is the most realistic. His value was extremely low. He was healthy at the end of the season and didn't play. He's not going to play. The Pelicans looked like they had a pulse in the playoffs, even though they were 10 games under 500, had a worse record than the Knicks. They look like they had a pulse with a couple of young players, and now they have another a top pick this year, right? Were they the seventh pick, I believe, in the draft this year? Now after the lottery, I don't remember. I have it right here. Hold on one second. They have the 8th pick in the draft now, and they were in the playoffs with play-in tournament win. But if you can get the 10th, the 11th pick, and then you have the 8th pick, and then you can get Julius Randle and some young Knicks players for Zion, add to what you have with the Pelicans with, your guys, and it's just, maybe you got something there for the Pelicans. Maybe that's a way that they can take the next step. That's something that I think is actually realistic. And we talked about it a lot on this podcast. And you even said that you think that that's realistic with Zion, with all the agents and the players that have relationships and et cetera, all the connections on those threads that I have. What do you think?
I don't think Zion's going anywhere in a trade. I think if it's going to happen, it'll be via free agency. I think the Pelicans are building on something, and they had a nice year, and they took the Suns to 6. We know what happened to Phoenix in one of the craziest game 7s any of us have ever seen. I can't imagine in a world they do that. I think Zion comes into this mix on a team that's now going to have expectations, right? They made the playoffs. Now Zion's coming back. I think that's a big year for him. I think he'll be motivated. And I think the addition of CJ McCollum there, really changed everything for that organization. Gave him a little backbone, gave him a little structure, and gave him a guy in McCollum that's a good, star player. I wouldn't
credibility.
Say he's been there. He's seen things. He's been in big games with Portland, and he added some stability there. I'd be surprised. I think what you're saying about the Knicks in the 11th pick is an interesting one. And I think in a lot of ways will show the direction and tip the hand of what the Knicks have in mind. And I think that'll be interesting to see where they go and what direction, if they're going to add somebody to this. And if they're looking to deal Julius Randle, having the pick paired might be a way to do it, to entice another team to get him off their back. Mm-hmm. I think, though, I don't know exactly what kind of value there will be in return. And then I have this kind of icky feeling inside, Alex, that he's coming back.
I know.
More and more I think, like, I originally had thought that he would be dealt and they would let Toppin get the 30-ish minutes or whatever a starter minutes would get and see what they have in him. And then just say, is this the guy? Is this not the guy? Let's make it, he was the lottery pick. It's his 3rd year in the draft. Here we go. Part of me feels like, especially with Tibbs coming back, I think they figure it out and he stays. And that was not my initial thought, but as time passes and goes by, I don't see a world as much where Julius Randle is dealt. And I think the Knicks just keep building with their internal core and then try to make better offseason decisions than they did the year before. Obviously, Fournier was okay. He played better at the end. And I think he was just so bad early and the Knicks were so bad that he kind of got a bad rap. He's not a winning player. I don't think you look at the Celtics, they lost him and they improved. But he
pattern, right?
Yeah, he hits shots.
Has huge games and then shit games. Huge games and then shit games.
Such a liability defensively. We know about the Kemba Walker thing. That didn't work, obviously. Yeah. I think the Knicks need to make better off-season smart moves and then just let that internal growth happen. And that's the way for them to get better. let Quickly improve, let RJ improve, let Toppin improve. You'll hope then Julius Randle comes back and becomes a contributing player and buys into the Knicks as a whole and gives RJ the keys and says, this is your team, and goes. That's from there. I mean, that's a lot of nice young talent. That's something you can build on, and you see what happens. And maybe then you draft that 11th pick, right? And he gets in there. Now, the Knicks have a track record of not playing rookies, so probably saying let's see what happens is probably
that's what Tibbs has to go.
But I think draft a guy, give him some minutes, and let these young players continue to play. And you mentioned the Pelicans, and they had a worse record than the Knicks, but but there was internal growth, and they were in the playoffs, and it just and what the difference there is, and I would say this is why the Knicks had a better record, and I don't have this in front of me, but the Pelicans started the year like 7-20 or something terrible.
Yeah, they were like the worst team in the NBA for a while.
So it's misleading because they improved at the end, where the Knicks had a little nice streak at the end and definitely played a lot better, but there was something about, like, you really felt like the Pelicans made some improvements internally on a deeper scale than the Knicks did.
I agree with that. That's why it seemed like the Pelicans were way better than what their record were in the playoffs, and when they were going toe to toe with the Suns. Say what you want, they took, they went to 7 and lost, and they looked like fools in that 7th game, losing by 110 points. God. But that was embarrassing, and I'm sitting here on this podcast like, how the Suns are winning the title. How can you bet against them? And how could you? I mean, they were by far the best team in the NBA the whole season, and we're in the finals last year. So it was kind of an easy pick for me, but I was wrong, so it's just another couple guys I think that could be available are like Malcolm Brogdon for the Knicks, but I'm not dealing the 11th pick in the draft and Julius Randle for Malcolm Brogdon. So that's where that gets weird.
Not the 11th pick. I would deal Julius for Brogdon.
Randle straight up. Yeah. Then we're cooking. But then what do they need him for when they have Miles Turner? You know what I mean? So it's, they just got rid of Sabonis. So that's somebody. De'Aaron Fox is not on the table anymore since they went and traded for Sabonis and traded, what's his name? The guy the Knicks, they always say the Knicks passed on for Obi, Tyler Halliburton. And so they're out. The Kings are out with Fox. Then you have guys like DeJounte Murray in San Antonio. They're not trading him. He's their franchise. Player. Yeah. No, you can't. So you're not trading him unless you're giving them RJ Barrett. Then you have guys like, let's say, Davion Mitchell with the Kings also. That's another guy, but why would they trade him? He's just a rookie last year. He's going to be on this rookie contract. They had to have him under control. They're not going to deal him for another rookie especially since they're in a top 3 for what pick did they have? I don't even remember. 3, 4, whatever it is.
Kings are right around there.
Kings are the 4th pick. So they have a 4th pick in the draft. They're not going to trade whatever to get the 11th pick, and then, who else is out there? I mean, I was looking at other guys like Jamal Murray would be interesting if he didn't like blow up his knee.
They're not. Yeah. Nuggets have to roll the dice there.
And he's getting paid a lot of money. Then you have, Colin Sexton, who's one of my guys that I would like, but he's coming off an injury too, so I don't know. But I don't know if I would deal the 11th pick for him, but I would deal Julius Randle. But then again, what do they need him for?
No,
so it's just
they
like
have Mobley and Allen. They're set at the front court. They don't need another guy there. They're
this
good.
Is why
they're cornerstone players there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why the list is shrinking for landing spots for Julius Randle and this potential trade. So where are you going? Are you trading him to the Lakers for Russell Westbrook? Fuck no. Are you trading him to not anymore? I'm done with Westbrook. Are you trading him? Yeah. Are you trading? Well, I mean, I would have rather had him than Elfrid Payton 3 years ago. That's different.
I don't know. I don't know. I love Payton.
I don't know. The second year of Payton, instead of having Russell Westbrook, instead of the second year of Payton, I think that might have been a little better, even though they were good. I imagine what they could have been.
I hear you.
Anyway. We'll never agree on that debate. What other players are there out there? Atlanta's not making a deal with the Knicks. They already did for Cam Reddish. I mean, you forget we have Cam Reddish too. I mean, where's he? When is he going to play? We have all these guys that that essentially play the same position, and then you have Julius Randle. You got to stick in the rotation. And what the fuck are we doing right now? Like, how did we get here, man? Like, and then the Hornets. Are you going to trade Randle to the Hornets for Terry Rozier? I mean, I guess that's okay. I mean, that's something I would think about. But then how would the Hornets fit him in? I would have to look at the trade machine. They have Hayward on the books. That's a little crazy. I don't know. I'm just going through the teams in my head. Detroit, I guess. I don't know. But who does Detroit have?
Detroit's rebuilding. They're rebuilding. They got the young core. They don't need Julius Randle in his contract.
The Thunder is an interesting team because the Thunder have 75 picks over the next few years. So maybe they can give us a bunch of picks and they have a ton of cap, and then maybe they actually try to win some games.
No,
but where are you going to trade the 11th pick to the Thunder? They'll be like, okay,
there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, this is what sucks. This is where we're going down this road.
There's nowhere to go.
Get James Harden.
God, Philly. You said something that I thought was
laughing about. That was a joke, by the way. I'm not kidding.
You were talking about the Mavs beating the Suns, right? In that epic game 7, it was just epic in the sense of the score.
Before I rambled for 5 minutes,
yeah. No, it was. I liked it. I enjoyed it. No,
okay, good.
But this is giving me Nets hope, right? This doesn't mean this means they'll win anything, but this gave me a little Nets hope. The 4 teams in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals this year, none of them made it last year. They're all new.
Mm-hmm.
4 completely new teams. So the 4 last year, all gone, didn't make it. Sixers, Hawks, Suns, Clippers. Then you go this year, you got Heat, Celtics, then in the West, Dallas and Golden State. My point is, these teams are all so close and so there. This I would think even give Knicks fans some hope as well. And I don't know about making the Eastern Conference Finals, but this idea that I think the scale there is not as far off as Net fans think because of how bad they got beat by the Celtics. And they were close games, but Celtics, when it mattered, took over. And you look at these 4 teams and why they are where they are, the continuity with these groups was through the roof all season long. Golden State had their injury issues, but Luka was there all year for Dallas. Boston, the ultimate team right now, and then Miami as well. These teams were just together all season. Miami went through the injuries with Bam Adebayo. That did happen. Robert Williams at the end for Boston. But overall, they were just, the continuity was there. And that's why, for me, as bad as it was with the Nets, I do believe that if they could just have like a normal regular season, that with the talent, that there is something enough there with Ben. There's so many ifs with them. And they're the ultimate what if team. But I do believe it's not like there's no shot anymore. And Net fans are like, this is over. Like the Mavs now are in the Western Conference Finals, having a legit chance to win a championship. Things can change ultra fast, and that gives me a little hope.
Yeah, I hear you. It definitely gives Nets fans hope and Knicks fans hope. And that's what was upsetting about this year for the Knicks, is that you felt like they could have been in the playoffs easily if they would have done some smarter things from the coaching staff with the rotations and held players accountable like Julius Randle. So yeah, the Nets aren't that far away. They also like to defend the Nets, which is something I don't want to do, but I will. They had a bunch of shit stuff happen this year with Kyrie with the vaccine and Harden falling apart and then demanding a trade. And it just, you kind of piece together a team in the middle of the season that's not likely to work. You know what I mean? So now you go into the training camp with the same guys. You can have Curry back, maybe, or Drummond coming back too. I don't know.
He's a free agent. Bruce Brown's a free agent. But
they'll probably bring back somebody.
Claxton, right? Great. Claxton, another one. Bruce Brown.
So who's coming back? Who's the guy that is coming back?
Joe Harris is coming back. Curry's coming back. Durant, Kyrie.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Ben Simmons. They got to re-sign Bruce Brown. They got a decision to make with Drummond. More minutes will be coming for Cam Thomas. And then the Nets need to find just Patty Mills as a player option. I don't know if he'll be back. There was a photo of him and Steve Nash.
I saw that. Him and Nash out to lunch or something.
Like, they're friends, whatever. But the Nets need to fill out a roster that works with a little more defensive minded and some guys that can spread the floor and shoot. That's what they have to figure out. But the core nucleus there, if they could ever be together, it is good enough compared to everybody else. The frustrating part is you just see like the Celtics did that this year, and that their Nets assistant coach is leading Boston to it is really frustrating. But yeah, the Nets have that, and they have that possibility, and they need something from. This is obvious, but Ben Simmons has to play. Kyrie Irving has to play. Durant can't get hurt. I mean, this is all the stuff that needs to happen. But you're right, to your point. James Harden fell apart.
Yeah,
he really changed. He was very different this year than last year, and
for sure.
And you and I had mentioned this in a text. It wasn't so like for the Nets. I think trading James Harden for Ben Simmons, 2 first-round draft picks back Curry and Drummond, and let's say even Drummond goes, getting Curry, Simmons, and 2 picks is worth it for the deal for Harden, because you can see he is declining fast, and Philly's got some major shit. But the bigger problem was just the original trade and really dealing Jared Allen, because you put Jared Allen back over to this team and you have an all-star center who defends, block shots, and rebounds, everything they lack.
Right. And LeVert and Dinwiddie you can do without. But I know Dinwiddie wasn't in the trade, but
Dinwiddie more than LeVert. And I would say that, and I was biggest Karras fan, and obviously
locker room guy too. Big,
but Dinwiddie,
culture guy, right?
Yeah. We saw what he did versus the Phoenix. That guy's got balls in big spot, and I trust
against
him.
the Nets too. Game winner against the Nets.
He's because and it's why you hate him, Alex. Or hate strong. That's why you dislike him. He's an asshole, but it's because he's confident and he really believes in himself. And I think he would have been a tremendous. And other thing is, he's 6'6", a long defender who can guard the perimeter. The Nets just got slashed all over the place. I mean, these are the guys the Nets lack. And it's funny because in retrospect, the roster that Sean Marks put together originally, when they added Kyrie and Durant, when you say, all right, Kyrie, Durant, you got Dinwiddie and LeVert were coming off LeVert coming off the bench, Jared Allen at center, Jeff Green was there, Joe Harris, Landry Shamet, like that team that they assembled, that was the team. Yeah. That was the team that had the depth. That was the team that had better rebounding experience. And they blew it all up for Harden. And, it paid off initially because he was great with the three of them together. They looked unstoppable, but long term,
5 games,
8 long term, it didn't work. It didn't.
Yeah. No. And, that's unfortunate for Nets fans, not for me, but, and then just something that was been bothering me over the last week when the Bucks lost in Game 7 to the Celtics. I was browsing through Twitter and seeing the usual net fan,
be nice.
I don't know if they have blogs or podcasts. I'll be nice. I'm not mentioning names. People know who they are, where they're saying, or just random people saying the Bucks only won the title last year because Durant stepped on the line and Harden and Kyrie were hurt and, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But the Bucks also beat the Hawks, and the Bucks also came back from 2 down in the finals to beat the Suns. They didn't win the finals because they beat the Nets. I mean, obviously you have to win every round to get there, but making it like they only won because those guys were hurt is ridiculous, especially since Middleton was hurt this year. So it's just, that's a big deal.
Well, I have more of a problem with Buck fans saying we didn't win the series because Middleton was out. It's like, well, I don't need to hear it.
Yeah, there's no excuse. It's like Knicks fans last year saying they didn't win because Mitchell Robinson was hurt against the Hawks. You know what I mean? So it's.
Oh my God, you're right.
You're just not. Being healthy is part of it. That's the bottom line.
And both can be true. The Nets are up 2-0. If they don't lose Irving, if Harden's there, do they probably win the series? Probably. I can't tell you for sure. I would say if somebody said pick, I'd pick the Nets in that situation of how good they looked.
Me too.
How they were playing. But you can't then take away from the Bucks. Like if I'm a Bucks fan, I'd say, I don't care. I mean, exactly. I wouldn't care. If the Nets were, let's say, for example, the Nets were to move on and win, and they were playing the Heat right now, and Bam Adebayo went out and Jimmy Butler went out. Or for example, here, I'll give you an even better example. The Heat right now are beating the crap out of the Celtics. They're up 17 last I look in the 4th. Celtic fans are going to say, well, if Al Horford wasn't in safety protocols and Marcus Smart was playing, do you think the Heat fan cares? No, you just play who was there and you move on. And I think as Net fans, we just have to get over that. And we can't hold on. Like you can't hold on to that forever. Yeah, it's disappointing. Yeah, you wish that happened, but that's sports and you just have to move on from it. Like the Bucks are the champs.
It's childish.
Oh, don't say that's so triggering.
It's childish for Knicks fans. And Knicks fans do it too. And Nets fans, all fans do it.
Fans, bring them all.
I'm saying it's childish if you're blaming injuries as the reason. Being healthy is part of it. Sure, if a great team loses their best player, like the Nuggets, they didn't have Jamal Murray. We were talking about him before. Nuggets don't have Jamal Murray. If they had Jamal Murray, do they win? I bet you Nuggets fans are saying, oh man, if only we had Jamal Murray, but they're not going to take anything away from who even beat, I forgot who beat them in the first round. The Warriors. They're not going to take it away from the Warriors. They're fucking they're the Warriors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's just, and they look back, which is crazy, you know? So it's just, it is what it is. Like, you know, Draymond always says it, and he's good at clapping back at fans like Durant, you know, where people are saying, well, you only won because Kyrie and Love got hurt, and you only won because he brought Durant over. And he's like, you know what? I have 3 rings. Shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? That, like, It is what it is, you know, like that's all. It's simple like that, you know, but it is hard as a fan when you're in that moment and that emotion. This is the problem with Twitter, is that you get that emotional moment back in the day when we were younger, before Twitter. You say some crazy shit. Oh, this fucking asshole. If only this, you know, trade this guy, trade that guy, trade this guy. And then you forget about it because you were just angry. And people who are around you, your friends or family, know that you were just angry. And they're not going to be like, yeah, no, I don't really mean trade, you know, whoever. You know, it's just, I was just angry, you know, but now it lasts for a lifetime. You tweet something out, lasts for a lifetime. You know, it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, Twitter's dangerous, man, especially after bad losses. It's just,
by the way,
it's not a good place.
A good team to bring up that I thought of are the Rockets for Julius Randle landing spot. You would think, you know, because they have a ton of picks now. You know, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, I'm just looking at, I don't know who they have. They have Dennis Schroeder. They have Christian Wood. Those are a couple of good veterans that they can get maybe for him and like just dump them there. You know, maybe they want Julius Randle as a player there.
I don't know. I mean, if he was on the final year of a contract, I think that gives him more value. I just don't know why. If you're one of these teams that's trying to rebuild, you would want to clog your. I mean, I guess if you have cap to use and you want to have a veteran on the team, but then the problem is, it's like you saw the way Julius Randle acted. If I'm a team that's trying to build with young players, I love the idea of bringing in a solid veteran that the younger guys can learn from, latch on to. But he was not that for the Knicks. You know, he did the exact opposite, and he pouted and he complained and he said to the fans, "Fuck you," with his middle finger. Like, these are not
shut the fuck up. By the way, is what he said.
Okay, sorry. I don't think if you're the Rockets, I think you'd rather be like, you know what? Let's leave that cap space open and go in a different direction.
Right. They already have John Wall.
He isn't showing
exactly.
Well, talk about a bad. I mean, that's an all-time bad one.
$47 million this year. He's gonna get.
That's what Alex. That's what James Harden could turn into.
Yeah, no, like, Harden's not getting that deal now. He fell apart too soon. God. That was his problem.
But he has to
one more year.
Yeah, Philly has to re-sign him.
Do they though?
I mean, they have to. If he doesn't re-sign, and I know their comments after was like a full year in our system. Yeah, he's gonna be better. What is Embiid, Tobias Harris? I mean, Maxey. That's not enough. I mean, they need him to be great.
I know, but
they need him.
Pay him the super duper max. I mean, that's
your problem, Philly. That's your problem.
That's insane. You don't have to give him the max. You can pay him less.
Right.
You know, to be like, James, listen, we want you to be here, but we're not giving you that money. That's all. And you have to stand up for yourself. And it might be addition by subtraction. You know what I mean?
Weird spot.
It really is.
Because they're stuck. They have to re-sign him, but they might be fucked re-signing him. And if they don't re-sign him, okay, then what happens to Embiid? By the way, whose comments were amazing in the post game. This is way old, but saying we didn't have Houston James Harden, we had a facilitator James Harden. You don't trade away that much to get a guy that's a facilitator. I mean, that's just like, I mean, he could rebound next year and be better if he's motivated. If he's motivated, he could be better. He's never motivated, and he's getting older, and Father Time's catching up to him. So
I think
as
he knows
shitty
now.
of a situation as it is with Ben Simmons, and it's shitty.
Mm-hmm.
I still, and this is not net bias, I promise you, there is more of an upside with him because he's 25 than Harden, who seems to be on the decline. It's a huge wild card, and I could be really off on this, but at least there's the unknown of he's 25, he's in the mix there. Like, he doesn't look washed.
Back surgery
is I could get
nothing. It's not
nothing. Yeah, but it's also, it's to remove the pain that he is. It depends on the back surgery, right? He's just having a back surgery because he has a herniated disc and they need to alleviate that pain. It's not, there's back surgeries where you're like, they're putting metal rods in your back and you can't jump
He's not having
anymore.
reconstructive surgery in his back.
No, I mean, my back's fucked up. I could get back surgery now and get rid of this pain, but I'm not.
But you're not going to go play NBA basketball.
No. The biggest thing I do is pet my cat. It's a little different.
And take a walk with your son. I mean, that's your
right. I used to lift weights, and I can't lift. But anyway, yes, it's a little different. It's a little different. But yeah, Ben Simmons, get that back fixed. And
well, another thing that bothered me about Nets fans, these are like the troll Net fans on Twitter, not like you or Evan or Spen or somebody like that, like a normal Nets fan.
I'll say more of them.
There's more of them, maybe like 3 more. No, I'm just kidding. That's the worst joke, but the corny old joke. But you set me up for that. It was too easy. So anyway, when an Embiid is trashing Harden in the post game, some Nets fans with these big accounts were saying things like, well, maybe Embiid is the bad teammate and not Ben Simmons. It's just like, come on, dude. Ben Simmons quit on the Sixers, didn't show up because everybody criticized him because he played like shit in the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? You can't defend that. Silly. Like, don't defend that. That happened. You're hoping that doesn't happen with the Nets, but that fucking happened. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Some things are black and white, and that was black and white. And
yes, I'm glad you say that because now I'll take this opportunity. There was a Knicks fan that said something that bothered me. I forget his name, but he doesn't have many followers. No. Cooney's is good. He's fine. He's a good dude. Who's Cooney's? Anyway, so I don't. Man,
he sent me the Tommy Beard tweet, by the way. That got me all riled.
Oh yeah, he's executive producing this. Damn it, I don't remember the guy's name, but it's like 2 first names is his last name, and he's always trolling the Nets. And he said something like, "I can't." He's like, "Nets fans are pathetic. Your team sucked. You're taking joy out of seeing James Harden go down. Your team had no wins in the playoffs, and it was like, why don't you worry about your own team as being obsessed with Philly? Like pathetic." And I posed this question back, and no one responded. I said, let's say hypothetically, there was a player on the Knicks this year that flipped off the fan base. Let's say there was a player that quit on his team and was obnoxious. Let's say this player then got traded to a contender. Would you not be rooting for him not to do well? Like, let's say this player was Julius Randle and he was dealt to the Sixers and the Sixers lost and he was atrocious in a big spot. I promise you Knicks fans would take joy in that, as I think they would. But don't get mad at Net fans for seeing the joy out of the Sixers fail. It's an indictment of how bad we feel about ourselves. But don't be like, worry about you. Stop worrying about your own team.
Yeah, rent free.
If Julius Randle was dealt and he was on this team and had that, and let's say demanded a trade and all the things that had happened, you'd be like, I don't care. Yeah, he was bad, but whatever. I'm a Knicks fan. I mean, that's so like no one answered that question for me. That was left alone.
The perfect example is Porzingis. The perfect example is Porzingis for that, because Knicks fans hated Porzingis, traded to the Mavs, and exactly every Knicks fan in existence rooted against him, except for Max Kellerman, who's not even a Knicks fan anymore. He's just a fraud. So it's just, this is what I'm talking about, where that you can't flip-flop so much with these guys. This isn't like LeBron James, where he left Cleveland, broke their hearts, but he's actually from Cleveland. He's from the area, from Akron, whatever. Everybody knows that, whatever. Mm-hmm. Bringing him back, you're bringing back the best player in the world who's from there, that you can get over the loss of him losing. I mean, the loss of him leaving, excuse me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see now that I'm seeing Knicks fans come and saying like, maybe we'll take him back for Randle. What? I'm not taking Porzingis back, dude. Fuck that. You know what I mean? If you're bringing up Porzingis seriously and you're not joking or being sarcastic, then I really need your head examined and really need to understand if you and really question your basketball knowledge, if you know what you're talking about, or if you actually pay attention to more things besides NBA 2K and just what talent is on the floor. There's more to it than just what is on the floor in players. Not to mention Porzingis is soft, he's always injured, and he has a max contract. Okay, yeah, that's right. We're not taking that guy back on. You're replacing a problem with a problem. The point, you should be moving forward, not backwards. Not to mention, people forget he had some off the court issues when he was in New York with a pending rape case. He was never convicted, never arrested. It might have been BS. Let me say that. But you know what? I guarantee you, if he didn't leave New York, that wouldn't have gone away. That story would not have gone away. And if he comes back, that story will come back up. And there's going to be so many things, not to mention Porzingis mocked the fan base when he left. He didn't say goodbye. There was no tweet saying like I enjoyed my time here until he got pressured and put out some BS. Then he was putting out Instagram stories of stay woke. The truth will come out soon. The truth never came out. And now Mavericks fans got him. They talked a lot of trash. And even Mavericks fans with with some truth serum would say, yeah, Porzingis, it was a bad trade. You know what I mean? And that's it. So I can't trade Randle for Porzingis. I can't bring Porzingis back to the Knicks. Even discussing it hurts my head. And Mike, I'll give you an example. Darren Williams, we brought him up before. Didn't he get traded to Dallas too? I think after the Nets, he went to Dallas after.
I believe so. I don't remember the exact timeline, but he definitely was.
Whatever. Imagine you hated. All Nets fans hated Darren Williams. Imagine a year or two later, the Nets fans were saying like, "Oh man, we should bring Darren Williams back. We need a backup point." Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, are you kidding?
Bring Harden back.
Bring Harden back.
And
exactly.
And look at Dallas. I think this is a case in point. And I'll add to you, they dealt Porzingis at the deadline for Dinwiddie, and they're now a team that has a chance to win a championship.
Right. Addition by subtraction.
And in pure talent standpoint, Porzingis, lottery pick, block shots, defends. But look at how much happier like Luka is with Dinwiddie. I mean, I'm sure the cloud that was lifted in that locker room, getting rid of Porzingis and bringing in a guy that fits better in Dallas's system, it just all clicked. So yeah, Dallas got rid of Porzingis. They bring in Spencer Dinwiddie, and now this team's a legit championship can win
in the finals, the conference finals.
I mean, they can win. These four teams are all within reach that any four of them can win a championship. I don't think anybody would be surprised. It's all possible. So yeah. They dealt Porzingis. They bring in Dinwiddie. It opened up Jalen Brunson. Luka has exploded into a top 3 player, and he's been off the charts good. And now here's Dallas that's on the verge of possibly winning a title, and it's because they dealt Porzingis. I guarantee you, if Porzingis is on this team and they don't make that deal, this team's not where they are. There's no way, first round, no way in hell that they're in the Western Conference Finals with an opportunity to bring a championship home to Dallas for the first time since the Dirk days.
Yeah. And, Porzingis might go for, if he was on the Mavericks, might have a couple games where he shoots 32 and 15 or something like that, hits 7 threes. But you know what? Then he's going to be hurt. It just is what it is. And, it's not, when he got hurt with the Mavericks a couple times, I laugh, not because I'm laughing at the guy injured, but because I'm laughing because the Knicks didn't have him and everybody's mocking the Knicks. And this is part of the reason why Knicks fans were happy once we calmed down and realized what happened, that we were happy that they got rid of him, because you can't pay a guy like that a max contract. And now the Wizards, maybe that's a team, that would want to take Julius Randle, but that would be funny if Randle and Porzingis are playing together and get Bradley Beal, whatever. I'm just throwing teams out there.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen either. He's paid too much money. That's crazy. And Bradley Beal is not not a team changer. I mean, he's a great player, but the Wizards always suck.
Right. No, they're never good.
They're never good. And he's their star player.
With him and Wall, they were
a playoff team.
Second round maxed out at best. I don't know, remember exactly, but they didn't. They weren't winning a championship.
Pippen. He's not a number one.
They're not winning it. They're not winning.
He's a number 2. He's not a number 1. And it's just is what it is.
Maybe so a 3 on a title.
Yeah. So
people,
but you know what? But okay.
No, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say, you know what? We're saying now that the theme of this episode is pretty much after the lottery stuff, a trade Julius Randle, and we don't know what team can take him. Something crazy always happened in the NBA.
That's fair. There's always
something might come up. Russell Westbrook was untradeable and traded in consecutive off seasons. Julius Randle is a kind of guy that can get dealt for a team that just wants somebody. And what happens is it takes that first domino to fall. Some big trade will happen, and then all of a sudden, these 3 or 4 teams now have a need for Julius Randle. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Donovan Mitchell might get traded somewhere else. Whatever team, whoever it is. Towns maybe gets traded. Who the hell knows? And opens up So we don't know what's going to happen right now. It looks bleak, but you know what?
That's true.
It never stays the same.
That's a good point. That first one that happened does change everything and could impact what a team needs. And where they need to go. Now that definitely does change things, and it will be. We have seen over the last couple of years in the NBA in the offseason, it's wild, and there's deals and there's trades, and it happens in free agent signings. It impacts everything. So, with that in mind, there's a great chance that something does happen, even though, and I'm sure people listening to this podcast, and you forgot to mention.
Whoever
you forgot to mention the
Paul George.
The Clippers. And if you put this guy in the deal, and he's the caps work, moron Biskegs. I get it. So I see that happening. The team I want to see least win, for me, it's Boston. It's not even close. I do not want to see the Celtics win. They destroy the Nets. I know a lot of Celtic fans, and I do not want to see Celtic fans happy.
Right. What's the best story for you right now?
This story is in like will make me happiest because
just the best overall NBA story, fairy tale with one of the 4 teams left to win a title.
I think there's man. Now I feel like I'm doing a CBS Sports radio show. I totally would have had this topic. Yeah. Man, that's a good question. I think the Warriors. I think the Warriors.
Me too.
Probably the Warriors. And I know where everybody would go with this, and that wouldn't bother me. It's the Celtics would bother me.
Yeah. Celtics or Heat would bother me. Mavs would also bother me too because of all the, the Knicks, former Knicks on there and
that would be
trash
fun.
Talk. That would be annoying. And with the Ntilikina crap with some fans.
Dinwiddie.
And Dinwiddie
proving you wrong.
Yeah.
Being a champion.
But it wouldn't be funny because it would mock Porzingis. Like, look, we want to get rid of you. Like kind of
true.
when
that's true.
When the Nationals got rid of Bryce Harper and then won a World Series, you know what I mean? So
I mean,
baseball's when he left.
Different.
Yeah,
baseball's super different. Mets lost, by the way, 4-3, and then the Celtics got this a little bit closer. I know they were down 17 before playing the Miami Heat as we record this live. The score on that is 96-86 with about 8:10 to go.
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter.
So I don't know if I gave my finals picks. I'm going with Warriors and Heat. Because I do think the Heat they're just like I don't know. I just feel like they're a better team. The coach has been there before, so he's a little more experienced as well. So I don't know. I think the Celtics might be ready to take that step, but it's a toss up, really. That's a toss up. But I do think the Warriors are going to beat the Mavericks and probably pretty easily, maybe in 5, in 5 or 6.
The reason I can't say that is I just think Luka's that maybe unstoppable.
Fine,
I think he's that good that he can. He's that good that he can do things on his own and win games. And I don't think he's. I think he's not scared of the moment. It's crazy too to see like Jason Kidd, who was the Nets coach, and now where he is in a Western Conference.
Yeah, he was a terrible coach. He was a terrible coach. The first 2 spots, everybody hated him. He helped develop Giannis. He He really did. But he was terrible.
No, he's found a home here, and credit the Mavs. I mean, they made the change with Carlisle to him, and it's proven to work. I mean, you can't say it. The results are there. This team's in the Western Conference Finals. Boston and Dallas are very similar to me, where they kind of lost a lot of people, but they just had so much internal growth that they just got better. They just got better internally, which is something you can do. It is possible. And Golden State too, basically the same thing. They
rebuilt with stars hurt. Yeah.
Everybody came back. Right. And they just Curry,
and then we have Wiseman. Poole. Wiseman isn't even there.
He's not even playing. You're right. And they had that bad year. They drafted him. He doesn't even play, and they're that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be a funky series.
The Warriors.
I'll watch these. I'll watch these two. I'm over it. I'm okay to watch it. The West in particular, I can get.
The conference finals you got to watch. And
I didn't last year. No, not last year.
Well, last year was more upsetting for you.
God.
This year you wanted the Nets to win. You thought there was a chance, but you knew that it was possible. But
and the game 7 of the second round. 2 days later was the Eastern Conference Finals. I was like, no, no, not happening. Not happening.
I get that. Trust me, I do. I understand. I've been there. Yeah. Plenty of times. You think I watched the World Series in 2006 after Beltran stared at a curveball? Hell no. I didn't watch 1 second of that game. 1 pitch.
I think I said before, I want to make sure I can't remember, but Eastern Conference last year, Bucks Hawks. If I said the wrong team, I'm sorry. In my head, I don't know.
Who's going to get you? Coonies or Bobby B?
Somebody. One of your Nick jerks
or William Simmons.
I love it.
Your boy. He'll always have to me.
I love all the Nick fans I interact with. They're fun and they love me.
Nets fans are cool too. They take shots, but it's all certain people is just in fun. You know what I mean? You can tell.
Once you get to know somebody, you realize you just have to separate the Twitter thing.
Right.
That's why I like if to separate the two. Because it's triggering. You see those comments, and boy, just get that rage of.
Yeah, well, remember certain people, Nets reporters, quote unquote, that are coming up and trying to make a name for themselves. That's fine, good for you. But we're saying the Nets team was the most talented team in NBA history going into the season. There's a lot of that, and it wasn't. Yeah, they had a lot of big names, but the most talented team in NBA history is a little bit of a stretch, even before the season getting excited. But I get it. Nets fans were excited, and
Well, I was looking for a tweet on you, and I think you deleted it.
Which one?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm not searching right. Never mind then. Maybe I'll find it later. It was because he used this like it was after the Knicks were 5. Don't worry about it. I'll search when I'm in a pissy mood. I won't tell you.
Listen, I'm not right all the time. I don't think I am. I just
you're wrong most of the time.
That's not true.
You're definitely wrong most of the time. No, I don't know. I'm not keeping score. Yes, I am. All right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode 117. As we continue to chug along here, and for I would say this, Alex, for nothing going on with the teams, it does feel like there was a lot to say.
It was lottery. It was fun. So things changed tonight, or didn't, but things fell into place, and we can take one step closer to the off season and get to next year and see what happens.
Disappointing night for the Knicks, who again fail in the lottery. Your team stinks. Guys suck.
Nets are so good. The lottery. They were too good, those bastards.
Let me pose this question for you. So the Nets have the 76ers pick this year. This was part of the James Harden trade.
Okay.
It'll be 23. The Nets have the option to defer and get Philly's pick next year if they want to change that. So would you defer?
Yes.
Because you think they'll just deteriorate more based on Harden?
I don't know what's going to happen, but Embiid is always hurt. And Harden, you don't know what they're going to do with Harden. And Tobias Harris has been falling off too. And it's just... I know that like we were talking about this before. We have Maxey coming, but how good is Maxey? Is he going to?
So you would defer?
Changer? No, I would defer for sure. I would keep. Can you keep deferring, or would you just have to?
I think it's just next year they get it. Unless if I'm wrong, I know there's a lot of Net fans that listen. You let me know, because when I'm wrong, you do let me know.
When do they have to make a decision?
That's a good question.
Before the draft?
Oh yeah. So, it's before the draft. The guy we wanted's here. Well, we'll take it. No, you got.
Before. Yeah, I meant before. Free agency is after the draft, right? So
it's after the draft. I'm sure there's a deadline date where they have to make a decision. It's probably once the finals end.
Before the draft.
Well,
let's take the pick.
He dropped. Fuck it.
Okay. Well, I guess this podcast is over.
I don't think it works.
Nah.
It's been over.
But yes, I would defer. Yes, I would defer. Honestly.
Bad Weather Fans, episode number 117. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget, you can find this on YouTube. Go ahead and tweet at us at Nick Central for Alex. I'm at Mike Delivers Pod. Give a thumbs up on that end, and of course, subscribe, follow this podcast, and help it continue to grow. We've got some more good guests coming up in the future. So exciting news there. Keep an eye out for that. If you missed our interviews with Greg Giannotti and Chris Childs, highly recommend go back and listen to those. If you're catching us for the first time, we've got a lot of fun interviews from the past. Check out some of our classic Net and Nick rant debates. Those are timeless. And I think even if you already heard them, you want to just get mad at the other fan base, go ahead and listen to this. But this has been episode 117. Alex, I'll talk to you next time. Always a pleasure to do a podcast with you on a Tuesday night in May.
New York City. Yes.
In New Jersey.
No, yeah. And if you're still listening, you're a big fan. So download these episodes. That helps us out the most. Thanks so much.
Bye.